UFC Noche. Stylistically, this is a crazy main event. But let me tell you this. You know that I'm always positive on this channel. And we will forever be positive when it comes to everything and anything. But I just have one criticism to the UFC. Please, guys, the Mexican fans deserve better than this. I mean, the card is disappointing, to be honest, because let's be honest, the first UFC Noche that you guys did with the Mirab versus Sugar Sean main event, I mean, the entire card was unbelievable. But on this card, Rob Font is the co-main event. But nonetheless, the main event is absolutely fantastic. But unfortunately, no one will be watching it because it's gonna collide with the time of Bud Crawford versus Canelo. But that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna break down this unbelievable firefight. Jean Silva versus Diego Lopes. I mean, listen. Stylistically, there is absolutely no chance that this fight doesn't deliver. Let's talk about Diego Lopes first. When you go 5 rounds with the greatest featherweight of all time, Diego Volkanovski, wow. I just mixed both men. Alexander Volkanovski, they're great. You're gonna become a much better fighter. Your IQ will go up in levels, but let's not forget, Diego Lopes was this close to becoming the undisputed featherweight champion. He gave Volkanovski all that he can handle, and he definitely took a lot of punishment in the fight, but I believe that he's still young and still fresh enough to come back. God willing, I'm hoping and praying. Why? Because he's fighting an absolute monster. Jean Silva. Now let me tell you this. Let's actually talk about Diego Lopes' career and fighting style. The man is Brazilian, but he adopts Mexico with his fighting style and with the country that he represents. I mean, he is Brazilian, but he represents Mexico. It's a bit weird, but there's nothing wrong with that. Much respect to the man. I absolutely love Diego Lopes. The man is humble. The man is charismatic. The man got the biggest neck I have ever seen in my life for his body type. I mean, let me try to become Diego Lopes. This is how Diego Lopes is built. Nonetheless, Diego Lopes is absolutely phenomenal. His boxing is incredible. His chin is unbelievable. His ground game is sneaky. And his resume is definitely better than Jean Silva's resume. Now, he definitely lost to Evloev in a very, very close fight, and he almost finished Evloev a couple of times. In his UFC debut, short notice. But the man came back on an absolute tear. Beat the likes of Dan Ige, Sadiq Youssef. Sadiq Youssef is not the most, he's not the greatest fighter in the world. But who have you ever seen demolish him in the way that Diego Lopes did? Knocked him out, brutalized him, finished him off, dusted him off in a round, in less than a round. And what he did to Ortega was extremely impressive. I mean, listen, I believe that he knocked out Ortega in the first 30 seconds, but he woke him back up with the following shot with the left hook, because I believe he knocked him out with the right hand, but he woke him up with the left hook. The same thing that Weidman did to Anderson Silva in the second fight, if you remember. But nonetheless, the man is unbelievable. But his defense is his biggest weakness. Why? Is because if you actually think about it, he's one of them. He's one of them who's, when you talk about defense, his offense is his defense, unfortunately. And that is very unfortunate because he's fighting an extremely heavy-handed fighter in Jean Silva. An extremely dynamic fighter also in Jean Silva. Now, I'm not going to lie. I don't like Jean Silva. If you know, you know. The man is unbelievable as a fighter, but as a person, who he's standing with, which flag he waved leading up to the Bryce fight and after the Bryce fight, that automatically made me become a Diego Lopes fan. I'm going to be rooting for Diego Lopes to knock out and finish the winning streak of Jean Silva, because let's be honest, just this past weekend, 2 of the fighting nerds lost. We got one left. We got one left to get rid of. Even though I love, Mauricio Huffy and Caio Borralho, but this man, Jean Silva. I mean, listen, what he did to Bryce was impressive, but Bryce Mitchell went down to bantamweight, and I actually watched him fight live in his last fight here in Abu Dhabi. And the man is a bantamweight, if you actually think about it. I mean, he didn't look that drained on the scales. And aside from that win, I mean, yes, he did beat Drew Dober. He absolutely destroyed Drew Dober. I mean, I believe that he took away years from Drew Dober's life. The pride of Omaha, Nebraska, Drew Dober. I believe that Jean Silva definitely took years of his life, but if you actually look at who Jean Silva fought, who did he ever fight that got the pressure and the presence and the knockout power of Diego Lopes and the freshness, especially now? Like I said, this is a massive thing. Will Diego Lopes be the same after the beatdown that he took versus Volkanovski? I mean, both men took a lot out of each other, and both men definitely left the octagon that night back in April lesser versions of themselves. Yes, of course, when it comes to IQ, when it comes to the heart, they proved everything and they learned. But when you talk about the punch resistance from both men, they took so much punishment. And Jean Silva, if you actually think about him, and if you think about his style, he is a dynamic pressure fighter slash counter attacker. He's a counter puncher. But, the man at the end of the day is a striker. Now, if Diego Lopes can close the distance and hurt him and get him into some grappling exchanges while he's discombobulated, I believe that he can submit him. I definitely believe that he can submit him. I mean, at the same time, Jean Silva, his submission game is definitely crazy. And there is a massive height difference. One is 5'10", 5'11", and one is 5'7". But that doesn't really matter when you have the fighting style, unfortunately, of Diego Lopes. Diego Lopes, I mean, the man definitely needs to work on his defense. I love Diego Lopes. I will be rooting for him in this fight, and I will be picking him in this fight to finish Jean Silva. That is my official prediction. But I'm not going to lie, the man is in a world of danger. And the man needs to be careful while entering the pocket. And the man needs to be careful while exiting the pocket, most importantly. Because yes, he does fight with his hands up, Diego. But aside from that, he doesn't roll with shots. And he has so much confidence in his chin that he doesn't really care if he gets hit. But you gotta care if you get hit by someone like Jean Silva. But at the same time, like I said, you can't compare their resumes. I mean, Jean Silva's resume, I'm gonna be honest, he fought fighters who are either past their prime. If you look at Bryce Mitchell, Bryce, he was always gonna lose that fight. It's because of the styles. Bryce is a pressure grappler. Pressure fighter who's a grappler. And he does throw a good front kick. I did see it live. But his hands are extremely limited. And he doesn't train out of an elite training camp. So Bryce Mitchell is just shooting from the hip, beautiful people. He's relying purely on his talent and toughness and jiu-jitsu game. And he did get submitted by Jean Silva, even though he's a grappler. So listen, I'm not gonna lie, even though I don't like Jean Silva as a person, but I gotta give him credit when you talk about his MMA skills. The man is dangerous and the man is coming for that belt. He's coming for that belt. But I watched a few videos of him training leading up to this camp and he looks very small. I wonder why. I wonder why he looks extremely small. He's way smaller than what he looked versus Bryce Mitchell. I don't know what it is. Are they drug testing the man more than ever? Is the man losing muscle mass on purpose to have better stamina? I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. But you know what? We're going to find out this Saturday. Because I believe when you fight someone like Diego Lopes, Diego Lopes will ask you all the questions necessary, and if you don't have the answers, you're getting finished. But so far, Jean Silva, the man's been proving himself as one of the best featherweights on the planet. He's so dangerous, he's so versatile, and he's so dynamic. And he can take a punch. But fatigue makes cowards out of all men. And Diego Lopes, I believe this is the X factor. He got the better gas tank. I believe he got the better gas tank, and I believe he got more heart. Yes, I do believe that. In my heart of hearts. I am not just picking Diego Lopes, but I'm rooting for him. So maybe I'm being biased. I actually haven't looked at the odds at all. And I didn't want to look at the odds because I didn't want the odds to sway my pick. But I was never going to pick Jean Silva anyway. No matter what. So, all I'm saying is this, beautiful people. I'm picking Diego Lopes by finish. And I'm rooting for the man. I will be hoping and praying that he finishes the final straw and the final link. And the fighting nerds, why? Is because you know who Jean Silva is standing with. This is the only thing that will make me turn against a fighter. Nothing else will make me root against a fighter except that. Let's go, Diego.